And we're coming to you live from the Ford Talk Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are, the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. We got some news on Julius Randle yesterday that was positive after the dislocated shoulder, so that's a good thing. OG Anunoby doesn't play last night against the Hornets as well. He's got some elbow inflammation that shouldn't be a big deal, so disaster averted for now with the Knicks, who continue to surge with another win last night against the Hornets. And, of course, this is Super Bowl 58 for 2 weeks, man, and the helmets will remain in front of us, the 49ers and the Chiefs. And I've been bad with betting these games in the playoffs. Had a good year of picking games, bad with betting the games in the playoffs. So maybe I'm just a donkey when I see this, but I am shocked that the 49ers this morning remain a favorite in this game. I really thought once it went from 2.5 to 1.5 down to 1, it would swing with the Chiefs. It hasn't. The Niners are hanging on. And that, to me, seems crazy and is going to incite Patrick Mahomes even more. If I'm the Niners, I'm saying make them the favorites, for God's sakes, because he was an underdog against the Bills. He beat them. He was an underdog against the Ravens. He beat them. Now he's an underdog against us. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
I'm doing great while he's in the midst of a great run. You know, it reminds me a little bit of the Giants' run in 2007, although this is Patrick Mahomes, and they did win their division, and they did have the number 3 seed, and we all expected them to win that division and make it back to the playoffs.
Well, yeah, and the Giants hadn't won anything with that group at that point either, where the Chiefs have 2 Super Bowls on their resume already.
But they were underdogs all the way.
Yes.
And the underdog thing is a real thing for the players and for the coaches and for motivation. I don't care if it's 7.5 points or 1 point. Every team, every coach, everybody's always looking for an edge. And so Andy Reid will use this as an edge. And just as you just put it, like if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're like, what? I'm an underdog? Come on. I mean, really.
This team almost lost to the Lions. They were getting blown out by the Lions. They didn't look all that good against the Packers. And I understand the second half against the Ravens, the Chiefs' offense didn't do anything, and the Ravens had a couple of big turnovers. But still, I mean, he's probably like, I beat this team already and this coach already in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I just took out Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Now I have Brock Purdy and the 49ers, whose defense doesn't even look all that good. I'm going back to the Super Bowl. I got Super Bowl MVPs. I got rings. That group's got nothing. And I'm the underdog again?
Yes.
It's probably going to work out in his favor, though. I really do think that as long as it stays that way, that chip on his shoulder just grows.
I don't necessarily know that he wakes up this morning feeling that way, but the closer they get to the game, and it stays like this, then they'll really have that discussion. And then because of all the meatheads on TV and radio and guys like us talking about it, it will incense them. And then their own people in their own city, their own radio stations, all the Chief fans, all the blog sites, the Reddit sites, all of that stuff, the Facebook sites.
Oh, they're getting all fired up with this, too.
They will just absolutely just perpetuate this whole thing. And it's going to be like, you know, this motivating factor within the Chiefs' kingdom.
That's right.
That's what it's going to be.
I don't know if you heard the final call for Chiefs radio of the AFC Championship game with that Mitch Holthus, who's the play-by-play guy. And he goes, you might not like the Chiefs. You might be tired of the Chiefs, but you have to deal with the Chiefs. So now they've gone full villain,
well, you know
even
what?
up to the radio booth.
Do you remember when we were tellers last week and you asked Coach Cowher about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and about how in his mind that they were the villain because they've been so successful and people are tired of Taylor and Travis and everybody else and this whole misery thing. And there was that thing going around on Instagram where everybody's saying this is the man that can save us from the Taylor Swift issues, and that was Lamar Jackson.
That's right.
And all that stuff.
Yep.
So, you know, Coach Cowher was right. I mean, there is something about being the villain, about being, you know, the team that everybody's sick of. And you just want to keep winning. This is like Patriot-esque when they were doing their thing.
Yeah, very much so. And the fatigue is similar. Now, the only real difference is the fact that during that Patriots run, there was football controversies that were going on. You know, whether it was Spygate or Deflategate, and then you had a lot of people thinking that they were cheating, and that incensed the entire rest of the football world outside of New England. You don't have that here with the Chiefs. What you have here
is just people being sick of winning. I mean, it's similar to me. I think that the best comparison in recent sports memory of this Chiefs run is with the Golden State Warriors. Because the Golden State Warriors came onto the scene, Steph Curry, as likable as possible. The game that they play is just beautiful to watch with the three-pointers and the passing and everything, and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. And then as they started to win, people were like, that's really cool, like fresh-faced team. But then they got just tougher to like. And then Steph Curry's chewing on his mouthpiece, and Draymond Green's kicking people in the balls, and Steve Kerr's getting too political. And then everybody hated the Warriors. Then Kevin Durant joins there, and they're a full villain, and everybody hates their guts.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I don't think, well, the one thing I will say, for the most part, I think they've kept it to football with the Chiefs. And I think Andy Reid has done a very good job of trying to get them all to focus, even given all the Travis and Taylor stuff. I mean, I don't know what to say about going back and looking at this tape yesterday. I mean, some of the plays that Travis Kelce made were ridiculous. And some of the throws that Patrick Mahomes made, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
The second half, they got shut out. They got their asses kicked in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, if Zay Flowers does not fumble that football in the end zone and the Chiefs recover it, at worst, we're going into overtime. At worst. But there's a little thing called momentum in football games, and you could feel it. I think you could feel it in basketball games. I know you could feel it in hockey games. And when the tide of momentum kind of really switches for you and you get a break like the Chiefs got on the Zay Flowers fumble, now all of a sudden, like, there's a whole new spirit on your sideline. And unless you've lived it and been on that sideline and know what I'm talking about, all those players, and you know, it happens in high school too. It happens in college, where the game all of a sudden, before you know it, is kind of getting away from you because that wave of emotion is overcoming you and you can't seem to do anything right from that point on. And then, of course, you know, Lamar makes the unfortunate error of throwing a ball down the middle about a second and a half too late to give the Chiefs a chance to get three players around his intended target. So, but that Zay Flowers fumble was the moment there, and it was the 4th and 2 for the Lions in their game where they could have made it to 17 points, assuming that Badgley would have made the field goal. They could have gotten it back to 17. Instead, they went for it. They had a drop pass, and then all of a sudden the 49ers got the momentum back. And they were asking George Kittle, did you feel a momentum shift? And he goes, hell yeah, I did. And I did, and I'm paraphrasing here. I did right after that 4th and 2. It was almost like we were kick-started. And they had just kicked the field goal. Now they went down and scored a touchdown. And the next thing you know, you're right back in the game. And that's basically what has happened to both of these teams in their respective championship games.
So Eddie went and found that call I was talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs home radio call at the end of the AFC Championship game, where you could tell that the announcers are also buying into this nobody likes us anymore narrative.
Now, I know he's not talking to me because I picked the Chiefs to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I would, so I'm not in the camp that's disrespecting the Chiefs. I wouldn't disrespect either one of these teams.
I don't think anybody disrespected
I know, but it's the game that they play. You know
right,
that.
Of course, yeah.
It's the game. And he's living in Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what his social media looks like. You can imagine what he's reacting to, what he's reading, what he's seeing on his Instagram feeds. I mean, it's all negative. So if I saw the feed of this man is the only man that stands between us and Taylor Swift, and it's Lamar Jackson, and I was the Chiefs broadcaster.
Oh, you'd be all in on pumping that up as
Yes.
much as you can anytime you're behind a microphone.
100%.
Yeah, and I do think that the fact that the 49ers are playing the Chiefs, which is a team that is not necessarily just in the history because they've done so much winning themselves, is not very likable. Like if it were the Lions, much as I don't like the Lions, the rest of the country was in on the Lions. If it were the Lions and the Chiefs and a David and Goliath type of thing, and the fact that the Lions had never been to a Super Bowl, much less won a Super Bowl, then the Chiefs would have been a huge villain in that game, where I think with this matchup, not as much.
You know, it does pain me to say it. It really does. That 49er helmet is like one of the prettiest helmets in the NFL.
It's a great helmet.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I like that when that helmet is paired with the white uniform.
Yeah.
I think that's the best looking thing.
With their brown pants. Or all
with
white,
a gold
all
pant.
white.
Are you talking
Well,
about
whatever color, the color of the helmet, the
Yeah,
copper.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
it's a copper color,
And that's
right?
what you should get in 58 because the Chiefs would be the home team.
Yeah.
So we'll get their red uniforms.
They have the choice. So
I
most
mean, their red
likely
uniforms
they'll do
are
it.
awesome. I mean, they are, iconic. Both teams have iconic uniforms.
No, they absolutely do. I always like the white ones better, like that Giants throwback white jersey. I love that
You like
one.
it with the white pants?
I do,
You like
actually.
like all the white with the blue helmet.
I really like that.
I don't know. It's a gorgeous uniform.
That's probably my favorite uniform in the NFL is when they throw it back with those white ones.
as
and the
much
white
as
pants.
listen, I have history with the 49ers.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to actually say what I just said.
Yeah.
because their helmet is just unbelievable.
It's a good helmet. I mean,
Solid helmet.
It's the color combination. I mean, that SF is not as. I mean, it's not as cool as the Kansas City logo, but it's the color. It's the gold and the red that
Yeah,
definitely
but we've
pops.
seen the success with the franchise through the John Brody years to the Joe Montana years to the Steve Young years.
Yeah.
I mean to the Jim Harbaugh years and now the Kyle Shanahan years.
Yeah,
I mean, think about how much success that franchise has had.
I know. Just another one of those teams that if you were born a 49ers fan, then you've had some amazing moments. Now, they haven't won since 94 and Steve Young and the Chargers, and they beat Stan Humphries 1,000,000-0. But they've been back. They've been good. They went through some couple lean years there for sure. But
Well, they had the Jim Tom Sula hiring.
they did have that, but that was after success with Jim Harbaugh. And they had the Mike Nolan years in there and Singletary with Vernon Davis and all of that stuff. But they are back. This is the second Super Bowl that they will be in, the second NFC Championship with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach.
So they win this, they will tie the Steelers and the Patriots for 6 titles.
Yep.
In NFL history. So, listen, they got a lot to play for sure. But I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, as I said many, many times, that I thought this was not going to be the year for the Chiefs. I wasn't alone. It is impossible. It is impossible for me as I sit here today to think that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to complete this. But you know what happens. You start thinking about it, you convince yourself one way or another. Things happen like the pass rusher, the edge rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, whose name is escaping me, who just tore his ACL, is going to be out for the game. There's stuff like that. And you start saying, well, maybe, the 49ers haven't played their best game yet, and yada, yada,
I
yada.
don't know, their second half was pretty damn good this week.
Yeah, but they haven't put a full game together.
Yeah,
yet,
but again, I could you say that Patrick Mahomes didn't put a full game together? I mean, they scored 17
No, I'm
points.
saying the
in the first.
Niners haven't.
No, I know that, but I could say the same thing about the Chiefs.
Okay, I got you.
I mean, it's been a grind. It's been really Steve Spagnuolo's defense that has kept them in it. I know Patrick has been pretty much flawless on the road in 2 very difficult environments, something that he has not had to go through yet. And I do believe that kind of fuels him because, he gets out on the field and I'm telling you, Baltimore's crazy on Sunday. I mean, it's crazy. And, no pre-snap penalties, none of that, no delay of game. He and Creed Humphrey, their center, are on the same page. Sometimes Creed, dribbles the ball back to him, but and I think Tony Romo said it, because of his baseball background, somehow like Patrick's able to pick up the ball and throw it like a third baseman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. They've talked about that for forever since he got into the league, like almost like a shortstop would, running on a run and then getting the field on a ground ball and then throwing it sidearm to first base, like stuff like that. As you grab,
but who would have known, right, Al? I mean,
it's a love affair that started a number of years ago.
Before he was a Chief, before he was drafted, when he and his mom came in here, and he took my heart and breath away. That's all I could tell you.
And you got to look at his trunk, and you thought,
yeah, I saw a lower half, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this kid's built like a tank.
yeah, big thighs, big ass.
Big tank. He was a tank, man. Look at how young he looks there.
And Boomer is holding the picture of him and Patrick Mahomes with a heart around it.
Well, this is a gift that you guys gave me.
And it got signed by Patrick at some point from one MVP to another. I think that was when you brought that in.
I did an interview with him.
That's right. Yep. And
For one of the Super Bowls that we were doing.
from one MVP to another,
But
Patrick
I
Mahomes.
think I'm getting Brock Purdy this year.
Oh, you told me you weren't doing anything this year as far as interviews.
I will most likely be doing. I think Brock Purdy. When the teams make their players available, we'll figure it all out.
Oh, okay.
Just told Drew, don't do it if we're playing golf. I said, If we are, I'm not sure because Gio will have a freaking meltdown.
No, well, I am playing regardless. The weather is not going to affect me. The thing I'm worried about is you bailing and then your face being the credential that gets us into a certain place, no longer working when we show up there. But I got a phone call yesterday, and I was assured that if you decide that the weather is not good enough and you would like to bail, that we would still be welcome in certain places.
All right, well, that's good.
So that's a positive thing. So.
I mean, you are on this. I have never seen you on something like you've been on this. You are really.
You can't let if you get thrown a curveball, you can't just whiff on it. You know what I'm saying? Over and over and over again. So we got thrown a curveball. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to get on base. You know, I'm trying to move the runners over. I'm trying to whatever I can. Because if I just sit here and complain about it, that's not any good. So I got to fix it.
I'm actually proud of you.
I'm fixing this whole thing.
Now, on the other side of the break, I got to tell you, I started watching Masters of the Air on Apple.
Masters of the Air.
Yes, it's about the Flying Fortress. It's another World War II. Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks put it together. It's great. You know, these are the guys that put that, obviously Saving Private Ryan together.
Yeah.
And this is about our flying fortresses that were dropping bombs on Germany and Norway, I found out last night. But there's a reason why. I came across a reason why you would be really interested. And it's not why you think.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you on the other side of the break why I think you have to watch this.
Okay.
And the connection that you,
me,
Greg Giannotti,
me personally,
will have to Masters of the Air on Apple.
Okay, very good. I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited.